Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Baker. I'm here with Dr. Brian Dixon and hopefully dinner later to talk to you guys a little bit about human nutrition and how our InCelligence technology here at Usana kind of fits in to the history of human nutrition and the basics. What do we have here on the table?
You're right. We have a good, healthy dinner. Right? Yeah. I'd just like to take a second and get back to the basics of nutrition. I think we overlook the key basics before we get into really the kind of the science behind the InCelligence technology that Usana now owns and claims. So I like to think of nutrition in now 4 aspects. I used to say 3 before InCelligence, but those 4 aspects for me are essential micro and macronutrients. Number 2 is antioxidant protection. Number 3 is something I call additional nutritional support. And now there's this new dogma in human nutrition InCelligence technology. The macronutrients. Those tend to be the calories that we count. So you can have your carbohydrates, right? Your healthy grains, potato, not necessarily healthy, but a great source of carbohydrates. You've got your proteins, right? Healthy salmon, chicken. You can even claim yogurt as a healthy source of protein. And then, of course, our healthy fats, our essential fatty acids, some of the healthy fats in coconut oil. So that's really what we need on a macronutrient side, okay? So we'll use those for calories, but then we'll also use them to help build certain components inside of our cells. Now, over on this side of the table, we have the so-called micronutrient foods, our fruits and vegetables. These are referred to as the micronutrient foods because this is where we tend to get all of our vitamins and minerals, right? These healthy, bright-colored fruits and vegetables. So we need this at our core to sustain life.
So how do we get from where we are there, macro and micro, to antioxidants? I mean, we know a little bit about like maybe vitamin C, but what else on the table kind of represents that in our diet?
The earliest antioxidants actually date back to vitamin C. I mean, the earliest sailors were really the first nutritional scientists. It was the British that figured out if you could give them these so-called acid fruits, right? Think about like oranges, grapefruits, limes, lemons, how sour they are. Well, they actually contain a bunch of vitamin C. So these early sailors figured out that they needed to get vitamin C, but they didn't really know what was going on. So fast forward a couple hundred years, scientists dig into it, and they find out that vitamin C is essential for the production of collagen, right? So that's why gums bleed, it's why you lose your teeth, you can bleed easy. But then going on and studying the aspects of vitamin C even further, they found out it's an amazing antioxidant. So just the simple act of living and breathing produces a ton of free radicals. And so if we don't get these antioxidants, and especially these vitamin antioxidants from our diet, it can cause huge problems and compromise health over time.
So what about number 3, this additional nutritional support? I mean, it's like, what else do I need to get?
So this additional nutritional support, it kind of falls outside of what we were talking about with essential vitamins and minerals, outside of antioxidant protection. But an example I like to talk about is lutein and zeaxanthin, these compounds that can be found in these brightly colored fruits and vegetables. What I mean by this additional nutritional support is lutein and zeaxanthin specifically get deposited in the eye. And you can think of these as being kind of like sunglasses and protection for the inside of our eye. So if we don't get lutein or zeaxanthin from the diet, we're not going to die from a disease of nutritional deficiency, but we gain an additional health benefit. Nutritional science is really honing in on the dosages we need to gain those additional health benefits.
Okay, and now the big question.
Big question.
Where does our cell signaling technology, the InCelligence technology, come into play? Where are we grabbing those type of things from?
Sure. So that 4th aspect of nutrition, our InCelligence technology, we've known for many, many years as scientists that fruits and vegetables are so good for our health. It's literally the more fruits and vegetables we eat, the better our health outcomes are. So, scientists are arrogant. They want to try to hone down and find the one magic bullet that's maybe sitting in an orange or a tomato or a pepper, put it in a pill and give it to humans. Well, after we got the big easy ones out of the way, the vitamins, right? Vitamin E, vitamin C, what they really started to look into was these phytonutrients. Phytonutrients are those other chemicals that plants make. And it's really those compounds that give fruits their bright and different colors. And it turns out those compounds have a bunch of health benefits. But what's so interesting is scientists were fooled a little bit, or maybe led down a wrong path. So when scientists first started to isolate these various compounds from these fruits and vegetables, they put them in a test tube and they started measuring antioxidant activity, for example. And it turns out that these compounds in a test tube are amazing antioxidants, just absolutely amazing. But then when the scientists would go and test them in humans, they'd give them these doses. The problem was they could never get the dosages high enough in people so that they could act like you'd expect an antioxidant to do. So again, the scientists were scratching their heads and they're thinking, how can these compounds, how can fruits and vegetables be so healthy, but yet all those compounds we isolate out don't have a health benefit? And this really led them down the path of looking into cell signaling and how all of these different chemicals from all these fruits and vegetables can actually work on cell signaling pathways to elicit a health benefit inside of our cells.
Awesome. Cell signaling sounds like, a complex thing. Is there a way for us to put it into context for people so even people like me, I'm just a writer, can kind of understand the science behind this?
All right. Well, you're a writer. I like to go back to definitions and words. Just for fun, a little bit ago, I looked up the definition of intelligence. And I was actually quite surprised by what that definition was. And it turns out the definition of intelligence, I won't put you on the spot,
Okay.
but that definition of intelligence is you being able to adapt and respond to your environment, right? So it's not memorizing a bunch of college textbooks. It's being able to adapt and respond to your environment. And so if you've ever seen me give my InCelligence presentation, I ask the question, do you actually need a brain to be intelligent? And when you start looking around nature and you start looking at everything from single cell organisms all the way up to us, right? You can see these cells, right? And then not as complex organisms reacting and responding to their environment. So the answer is no, you don't need a brain to be intelligent. And the reason that single cell organisms, simple organisms like insects or worms, up to mammals, right, rats, mice, us, can actually be intelligent is because our cells are equipped with the ability to sense and respond to their environment. And the way that they do that is through cell signaling.
Can we just go back and clarify one thing? How do antioxidants, regular antioxidants, and InCelligence nutrients work differently when they enter into my body?
When they work different?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll go back to that analogy of the scientists kind of teasing out the different compounds from these fruits and vegetables and putting them in that test tube. So when they put them in that test tube, like I mentioned, they were expected to work like antioxidants. It's great antioxidant properties. So then they would take those compounds and they'd give them to you or me and then try to measure that same activity. But what they found is a concentration of those nutrients were not getting high enough in the blood to possibly be working like these traditional vitamin antioxidants. So the scientists are scratching their head and they're thinking, well, there must be something different going on. These compounds must be working in a different way scientifically than traditional antioxidants.
So when these get into my body, how are they impacting my health, and how does that process actually work?
Okay, so I mentioned the term cell signaling earlier, and let's talk about cell signaling, and then we'll talk about the huge biological effects that these compounds can have in our body. Cell signaling is nothing more than a cell responding to its environment. So it can be responding to its external environment, or it can be responding to its internal environment, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to have some sort of sensing compound, right, or sensing molecule inside of the cell. The scientific term is a receptor. So the receptor is going to sense the environment externally or internally, and it's going to start a chain of events to happen in the cell, and then that cell is going to elicit some sort of cellular consequence. So that's it put very generally, and I'll run over to the whiteboard. If you want an easy way to remember it, it's just A, then B, then C, then D, and then that cellular consequence. So think of this as your receptor or that sensing, and then you're going to get some sort of cellular consequence at the end. So then your other question is, how are these then beneficial for our health? What's so amazing about these nutrients is they can turn on cell signaling pathways, right, to try to optimize our cellular function. Sensing occurs, right, so your nutrient will bind here. It's almost, think of it as molecular targeting of a nutrient. The consequences can be things like supporting a healthy immune system. It can be like turning on our body's natural detoxification pathways. Our bodies are also equipped with its own antioxidants. That's how important antioxidant protection is to our overall body. So again, through these cell signaling pathways, turning on specific genes in this case, we can turn on our body's natural antioxidant defenses.
So that's where we got to these extra benefits, basically, that people were seeing.
Exactly. Think about in our lives compounds that have huge consequences. Or think about a woman taking birth control pills. Again, very small quantities of compounds can have these huge physiological consequences. I mean, you can completely remodel a woman's reproductive cycle. So small amounts of these compounds can have huge consequences inside of the cell.
I'm really glad that you guys figured all this out and put it in, Cell Essentials and our other InCelligence products so that we can maybe not have to eat 30,000 bell peppers, although they're very good. So next, we started gathering some questions from Facebook, some of our social media sites. You guys, the viewers and followers, sent some questions in that we think maybe you can answer for us.
I'll do my best.
Okay. So the first one is InCelligence an ingredient?
The answer is no. InCelligence is not a single ingredient. I like to think of it as technology, and that's why you usually hear us talking about InCelligence technology. And that technology comes back to that cell signaling that we're talking about. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of different cell signaling pathways inside of each and every one of our cells. And the different chemicals or phytonutrients inside of these fruits and vegetables are going to act and behave in different ways inside of our bodies to turn on these various, or turn off these various cell signaling pathways. So no, InCelligence is not an individual ingredient, but it's Usana utilizing a number of ingredients to elicit the health benefits that we want.
Okay, so question number 2. How is InCelligence a different approach to supplement design?
I'd like to think of it as intelligent supplement design or smart supplement design. So what the scientists are doing here at Usana is diving into the scientific literature. They're looking at what are the compounds that we can use to molecularly target different aspects inside of these different cell signaling pathways to elicit the effect that we want. So for example, if we want to help support cardiovascular health, we'll choose a certain set of compounds that are coming from these fruits and vegetables. If we want to support our immune system, we'll choose a different set from these fruits and vegetables. If we want to turn on detoxification pathways or that antioxidant response we were talking about, we'll choose different ingredients. It's really a smart way to design a supplement to elicit a specific effect we want inside of a cell.
How many pathways are there?
There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of different cell signaling pathways inside of each and every cell inside of our bodies. So if you think about this, as scientists begin to learn more about these compounds, specifically where they're working inside of the cell, what pathways they're actually working on, we're going to just be able to design even smarter and smarter supplements in the future.
Question 3. InCelligence uses specific combination of nutrients to activate healthy processes in my body. Does that mean InCelligence is all that I need now?
The answer is absolutely no. So it comes back to those 4 points of nutrition. We actually need all of them to be working together for our cells to function optimally. Well, let's think about our detoxification pathways or those antioxidant pathways. At the core of those enzymes, right, that these cell signaling pathways are turning on are going to be certain vitamins and minerals that are going to help those processes go on. So you could take all the InCelligence technology you wanted, but if you're not going to get those vitamins and minerals to be placed inside of those enzymes so they can do their job, it's like you've done nothing. So again, we need to utilize all of those vitamins and minerals we're getting from those micronutrient foods or a high quality nutritional supplement in addition to all of those other aspects of nutrition, including InCelligence technology.
Cool, so I can still keep taking all of my favorite products.
You absolutely should continue to keep taking all of your products.
Awesome. Okay, so it sounds like my body's pretty good at doing a lot of this stuff. If it's naturally doing these processes that InCelligence targets, why do I need to activate them with the nutrients?
It's a very good question, whoever asked that question. So yeah, our cells, they have these cell signaling pathways going on in there. We know that nutrients can target them. But why do we even need to do that in the first place? These pathways can become tired over time. For example, my background is in the aging process. So as we get older, we know that these cell signaling pathways don't work as well or as efficiently as they used to in the past, right? When we were younger and living our healthiest. So sometimes these cell signaling pathways need a little jump start, right? It's the same reason you have to kind of keep exercising your whole life, right? So you can kind of think of this InCelligence technology as kind of exercising the inside of your cells to keep it at its optimal fitness level, right? To optimize that cellular function.
It's awesome. I'm glad that they're doing a lot of exercising because I'm trying my best to keep up too. Why isn't InCelligence technology used in all of our products?
Well, it's, again, a very good question, and if this is so revolutionary and cutting edge, all the products should have this technology, right? But that's not human nutrition, right? We need those macronutrients. We need those micronutrients. So if you can think about back to my 4 core nutritional philosophies: essential micro and macronutrients, antioxidant protection, additional nutritional support, and InCelligence technology, they all have to work together. So when you're going to look at Usana's product line, you might see a product that just has one of those. Maybe it's just essential vitamins or minerals. Or maybe it's going to have 2 of the 4. Or it could even have 3 of the 4 or 4 of the 4, or only InCelligence technology. So as nutritional science continues to advance, as we make new discoveries in nutritional science, that's how we're going to design our products. So as we learn more about the compounds and the specific cell signaling pathways they target, you can bet we're going to be designing products to fulfill that need. But as other discoveries are made around maybe additional nutritional support, optimizing, maximizing dosages, we're going to design our products around those discoveries. So it's really what the science is going to tell us is going to dictate how we're going to design our supplements. And InCelligence is obviously a technology you're going to see quite a bit of, but it's not going to be the only thing.
I learned a lot. I hope everybody else learned a lot. Is there anything else you want to do before we go have dinner?
Yeah, I just want people to think about their nutrition, get back on top of it, get back to those 4 core principles, and yeah, let's go cook some dinner.
And one more thing. If you have any other questions about it, go to askthescientist.com, and we have a lot of great content there that answers a lot of these questions in depth, and a lot of, we dig really deep into the active ingredients, and we talk a lot about some of these processes. So there'll be a link below the video. Hit that, and then you should be able to learn
Even more.
Learn even more.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everybody.